Hey guys, welcome back to another Metal Fan React video with me, Draven. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys checked out my most recent video that I put up on Saturday. We did a Sabaton history reaction channel to Aces in Exile Part 1. They split it up into two parts. So of course, let's do Part 1 on Saturday and Part 2 on Sunday. So without further ado, let's jump right into Aces of Exile Part 2. They gave a little description on their history channel of exactly what this particular video is about. It says, Aces in Exile has returned! Well, the exclamation point, so, return! Interesting times makes for interesting men. In the second part, we talk about the sum of the individual stories of the Czechoslovakian, Polish, and Canadian pilots that all fought under the banner of the British Royal Air Force during World War II, or the Second World War. Quick note, thank you for a lot of the people in the comments talking about all the Canadians that fought during World War II. I honestly, true-heartedly had no idea Canadians fought in World War II. Some of you guys even said they fought in World War One. I honestly had no idea. Never knew that in a million years that they even participated in conflict. I always thought they tried to stay neutral as possible. So that is really good information for me to know, and I'm definitely going to look up more about the Canadians. Back to the description. How they escaped German occupation, how they traveled through the war toward Europe, and how they eventually found themselves fighting in different uniform for a different country. And there's also, with this video, there's also a specialized link for World of Tanks. I'm not too sure if it's a free game or free skins for World of Tanks, exactly what's going on, but I'm going to check that out because I stream, I don't know if you guys know this, I stream every day, Monday through Friday onto Twitch, twitch.tv/Draven. Description right there. And so I'm looking for new games to play. And World of Tanks? Why not? Sabaton? What's World of Tanks? Let's play it. Unrelated. We're off topic. Anyways, guys, let's jump right into Aces of Exile Part 2 on the Sabaton History Weekend.
Hello, I'm Per from Sabaton.
And I'm Indy Nidell.
And this is the Sabaton History Channel.
And this is part 2 of Aces in Exile. Aces in Exile was last week's episode, and it's part 2 because it's Flying Aces. I mean, there's so much more you can say about it. And also, in the future, we're going to be revisiting some of the Sabaton songs that we've already done to go a little more in depth about them. Now, before we get to the individual aces, you probably noticed there's a World of Tanks sign right there.
I also know you had a Vader
shirt,
too.
Emergency shooting, actually, because Per and the boys they're going on tour in Russia. And so he's not able to come down to Bavaria to film when I'm going to be there filming. So the World of Tanks people have very kindly let us use their studio. Thank you, guys. You can say you're welcome. You're allowed to.
Welcome.
Yeah, see? They very kindly let us use their studio here in Minsk. And it's not like a sponsorship or collaboration. It's just being nice guys, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, so Aces in Exile.
All of us have escaped from our country when the Germans invaded it. We have fought against our enemy in France. Now we have come to England to continue the fight. Our squadron has brought down 33 German planes in a month. We hope we shall bring down many more. Nazdar.
In Aces in Exile Part 1,
Oh, they're
we
outside.
talked about the Canadian, Polish, Czech, and Slovak pilots that fought for Britain's Royal Air Force in the Battle of Britain. Men far from home, fighting for a common cause despite their differences in language and culture. Here are some of their stories. The Munich Agreement and the German occupation of Czechia, March 15, 1939, turned the world upside down for those now occupied. Men like Karel Kuttelwasser. Kuttelwasser had been heading for the ordinary life of a clerk, but changed his mind and joined the Czechoslovak Air Force as soon as he turned 18. By 1938, he had successfully completed his pilot training and served in the 32nd Fighter Unit of the 1st Air Regiment. The squadron had been training to defend the airspace over Moravia and Slovakia, but the German occupation and the dissolution of the whole Czechoslovak Air Force had put a stop to that. Like so many others, Kuttelwasser faced the choice of...
Just want to bring it up just because I've mentioned in the past I used to do production for music videos and live shows and stuff like that. He's wearing two mics. I have no idea why. I don't know how and why. He's wearing two different mics. I have no idea. Just something I noticed. But it is cool that they're outside. I kind of like this setup. And it's interesting that they're with World of Tanks. That the World of Tanks guys let them film it when they're not doing a collab, but hey, whatever. But I know that they've done, like, the Prima Victoria was with World of Tanks stuff, so that's really exciting. When I did my live production, I used to put on World of Tank tournaments. When I lived in California, we did online tournaments, and so World of Tanks was one of them. Really fun game to watch.
Either living under German occupation or making a run for it. He chose the latter and smuggled himself on board a coal train to Poland. Looking for help in the Czechoslovak consulate in Krakow, he was greeted by a whole group of Czech pilots who also had the same idea. One of them was Josef František. František had joined the Czechoslovak Air Force in 1934 and had shown a remarkable talent for flying. With natural ease, he flew the Aero A-11 reconnaissance planes and soon made sergeant in the 4th Air Regiment. However, although he was a gifted pilot, he was also a natural troublemaker, getting in frequent fights or going AWOL for days. Any other pilot would have been dishonorably discharged, but František's skill with the Avia biplanes had earned him instead a recommendation. Like Quittelwasser, František had chosen to escape the German occupation by smuggling himself over the border to Poland. The Czechoslovak consulate could do little but arrange contacts with their exiled government, though. At the port of Gdynia, the pilots were waiting for a chance to sail to France, when the Polish military made them an offer to stay and serve in the Polish Air Force instead. Quittelwasser rejected the offer, but František agreed and went to the Polish air base at Deblin, near Lublin. At Deblin, he might have met Witold Urbanowicz, a fighter pilot known as the Cobra. Urbanowicz had been serving in the Polish Air Force since 1930. He had made a name for himself.
I love, too, how they're showing each person and the story behind them, and then what planes that person has flown. That's really cool.
For shooting down a Soviet recon plane in 1936. The Polish Air
That's
Force
a cat.
used aircraft from the early 30s,
Oh, you can't see it.
like the Breguet 19 or the PZLs. And Urbanowicz himself served as an instructor, flying the obsolete P-7. This obsolescence became painfully clear on September 2nd, 1939, when Germany's Luftwaffe began bombing Deblin Air Base. Forced to flee, dodging German anti-aircraft fire, and luckily surviving a crash landing, Urbanowicz and other surviving pilots were, on September 22nd, ordered to fly to Bucharest, Romania. There, they would wait for the French and British air forces to arrive, after which they would continue the fight. Or so they thought. Instead, the men were nearly arrested by the Romanian police. František escaped on a Romanian cargo steamer heading to Beirut in French Lebanon. Urbanowicz had made a quick dash into Poland once more, but after nearly being caught by Soviet troops invading from the east, he fled to France. Quittelwasser had already arrived in France via a Swedish cargo ship, reaching Calais on July 30th, before the invasion of Poland had even happened. Since France was not at war then, and had little plans to integrate foreigners into their own forces, the Czech pilots were not allowed to join the French Air Force. Instead, they had to choose: join the French Foreign Legion, with the understanding that they would be immediately released should war with Germany break out, or be deported back to occupied Bohemia. The men accepted and signed 5-year contracts with the Foreign Legion. Sent to French Algeria, Quittelwasser endured the harsh legionnaire training, but he did learn a thing or two about the modern French Morane-Saulnier fighter aircraft. On September 3rd, 1939, France declared war on Germany. Although it would take another 2 months until Quittelwasser would be released from his contract, he was now allowed to join the Free Czechoslovak Air Force. In May 1940, he joined the 3e Groupe de Chasse and was even lucky enough to be posted with a brand new Devoitine. The Devoitine D520 could have been a real threat for the German Messerschmitts, but only a few had been made when the German war machine struck. Also supporting the French defenses were the Canadians. Mark Henry Brown had been promoted to flying officer in late 1938. And with the outbreak of the war, Brown and his squadron were transferred to the Advanced Air Striking Force in Britain. Brown began actively fighting in early November 1939 as the Luftwaffe probed the British defenses over the English Channel. In April 1940, a first Messerschmitt fell to his guns. 4 others soon followed suit over the skies of France, making Brown the first Canadian flying ace of the war. Heavy fighting was soon reported over Cambrai, where Erwin Rommel's tanks were making rapid headway. Late the evening of May 19th, pilot Willie McKnight was suddenly ambushed by a dozen German fighters. Immediately, he wheeled into a steep climb, shooting down a 109 before veering away to safety. When McKnight had visited the recruiting bureau of the Royal Air Force back in Canada, he saw his service as a chance of adventure. As part of Squadron 242, he had trained with fellow Canadians at Church Fenton, flying Blenheim bombers and Hawker Hurricanes. Now fighting from airfields in northern France, it seemed more like adventure had found him. Shortly after his stunt at Cambrai, news came of the British Expeditionary Force boxed in and being evacuated at Dunkirk. The British flying squadrons rushed in, trying to keep the packed men on the beaches safe from the Luftwaffe. By June 7th, McKnight had shot down 6 planes there, claiming 10 victories in total. But like so many of the other men, exhaustion and battle fatigue set in. He lost 12 kilos in a few weeks, and once nearly his life while making his way to England, leaking oil all over the channel. Squadron 242 suffered badly in the skies over France.
Dunkirk was a great movie. I liked how it was filmed too.
On June 17th, Exile Czechoslovak President Edvard Beneš gave the order to evacuate all Czechoslovakian military personnel to the United Kingdom. František made it safely across, and by September was sitting in a British Hawker Hurricane as waves of German bombers and fighters attacked in the Battle of Britain. On September 2nd, he shot down his first Bf-109 and took down 3 other German planes the next day. Facing the elite German pilots of Jagdgeschwader Pt.2, František made a name for himself as a daring but unruly pilot. Repeatedly, he sped ahead, flying into the German formations. His style was effective, but also self-destructive, and the RAF wanted to rein František in. Bravery was important, but it was discipline and judgment that separated the legendary pilots from the dead pilots. Okay, and luck, right? Urbanovitz had temporarily joined Squadron 145 in August 1940, fighting off German Messerschmitts and Ju-88s crossing the Channel. It is rumored that one of his first victims was German flying ace Joachim Schlichting, but the stories differ on that one. By August 21st, Urbanovitz was assigned to the Polish 303 Squadron, and 2 weeks later became squadron leader. Throughout September, his kill tally of Dorniers and Messerschmitts grew ever longer, and he was even awarded the Silver Cross by General Sikorsky. With 15 kills, he made the top 10 Allied aces of the Battle of Britain.
It's so crazy.
František topped him, though, credited with shooting down 9 German fighters and 7 bombers throughout September 1940 and being awarded the Distinguished Flying Medal. However, on October 8th, František's Hurricane was seen spinning through the air. It crashed, and František was immediately killed. It is unknown for what reason it crashed, whether personal exhaustion or mechanical failure or what. Mark Henry Brown was shot down as well in mid-August 1940, but managed to bail out before the crash. After the Battle of Britain, he was posted to the Middle East, eventually fighting the Germans over the skies of Malta. During a raid in November 1941 against Italian airfields in Sicily, he was hit with anti-aircraft fire. With a kill tally of 17 enemy aircraft, he was buried by the Italians with full military honors.
Oh, that's cool.
McKnight was busy patrolling the skies over England, facing several German raids against RAF bases. After shooting at bombers over the Thames in November 1940, he was promoted to flying officer. In January 1941, he was tasked with flying combat patrols over French territory. But his group was hit by heavy anti-aircraft fire and again jumped by a horde of Messerschmitts. McKnight never made it home. For Kuttelwasser, the order to escape to Britain had come too late. He and GC3 were relocated to Algeria, but France's capitulation on June 22, 1940, discharged all their foreign pilots from service. Kuttelwasser traveled to Morocco and eventually made it to Britain, where he promptly joined the Royal Air Force. But it was not until 1941, over the coast of France, where he made his first kill in RAF service. Kuttelwasser would become a renowned night fighter, known as the Night Reaper for the dangerous missions he attempted. Witold Urbanovich would make his way to the U.S. in 1941 and join the American Air Force. There, he switched from fighting Messerschmitts in Hurricanes to fighting Japanese Nakajimas in P-40s. It is said, well, I don't know how true it is, that during all his service in the war, not once was his plane ever hit by an enemy bullet. These are just a few stories of the aces in exile. It is remarkable what those men saw and experienced. Such bravery and dedication in such dire circumstances is perhaps hard to comprehend nowadays, but we should not forget the hardships and the sacrifices made during wartime. There are many more such stories other than these I went over today, and I encourage you to dig deeper and learn for yourselves.
It's hard to think about how passionate and patriotic some of these people, some of these men were.
Now, for this little interview section, I want to talk about something a little different.
Pause real quick. It's crazy to think that these guys weren't just chasing glory for the sake of chasing glory. Like, they wanted to participate in the battles and fight, and they didn't care who, they represented. As we saw, some of these guys jumped around to 6 different, quote, flags to represent as they fought. They just wanted to fight. And these guys, just these 6 guys that they talked about did a lot to help out during the earlier parts of World War II. It's crazy to think that the people who were 10 years younger than me were that brave. It's mind-boggling. It's sad that these guys were, got shot down even before World War II. I mean, even before the U.S. got involved in World War II or officially got involved in World War II. Some of these guys died in like 1939, 1940, 1941. It's just crazy. Crazy. Gnarly. I don't know what the correct word is to describe it.
Different. Flying aces, sure, but something related to flying aces. Now, okay, you guys are rock stars. It's true. You don't have to be modest. Every single person watching this knows that you guys are rock stars. But the concept of rock star has had a lot of different names over the years. Now it's rock stars. In the 1850s, it was like Jenny Lind and opera stars and things like that. Maybe the klezmer heroes of the 1880s. But absolutely, during the First World War, the rock stars were the flying aces. And I think that's kind of interesting that if you go through like the 19th and 20th century, you always have somebody that, we'll call it rock star. We can call it whatever we like. And I wonder, if we went back to like the 1600s, who the rock stars would be.
Okay.
Well, in the 30 Years' War.
Knights, I guess.
Winged Hussars.
Winged Hussars, maybe.
Obviously the Winged Hussars. Okay, we know they were the rock stars and stuff.
But yeah, some knights, I guess they will be the ones.
That'd be cool if they did like a night video.
The joust.
Oh yeah, well,
Jousters.
get further back.
That would be maybe leading into to being the rock stars.
Do you think that it is something that we require basically in modern human society to have something for our, I guess, younger generations? Because it is more among the younger generation. You worship rock stars.
And I mean, today, and what we're gonna see in the future is that we're gonna see less and less real of these rock stars and this, because the rock stars of today is a little bit the superheroes on TV, because nowadays the TV series and the movies kind of become almost so realistic.
Yeah, they can do so much more than when I was a kid.
Yeah, so that you almost believe that these people exist in real life, and for some people they become the heroes. They become the rock stars that you really want to look up to, and they give they present some ideals that speak sometime, and they inspire people. So,
well, I mean, Spider-Man said, with great power comes great responsibility.
Spider-Man did not say that.
True.
No, but I think that's very interesting, and it's a great
point. Well, I don't know. I have no idea.
It is
pretty positive he did not say that. I mean,
if I was 10 years old watching, I don't know, one of the Spider-Man movies, like now, I wouldn't think, oh, that's so fake, which a lot of stuff was when I was a kid, even when you're 10 years old. I mean, Star Wars was great, but a lot of the other stuff was like, it's really cheesy. You know it's cheesy. It was still
Sabaton
good.
Star Wars
still good because the story.
Let's make it happen.
See, that's important.
And that's why you can always go back to.
Can you imagine if Sabaton did like a Jedi song? Okay, we need to petition Sabaton to do a Greyhound song with Wolfpack. Redo Wolfpack for the Greyhound trailer, and Master Jedi Star Wars song by Sabaton. We need to make that happen.
things, and I mean that's also why you can listen to music from the 70s sometimes. I mean we can enjoy this and all their stuff because the songs are good.
Yeah,
The
sure.
production maybe is not attractive for the
For
generations,
some people, yeah.
but the songs are still good, and that was, you know, we enjoyed the movies as well, but we were not spoiled with the extreme
No.
CGI that are today.
Having said that, in terms of Spider-Man movies, one of my favorite movies of last year, one of my definite 2 or 3 favorite movies, was not the regular Spider-Man movie, but the animated one, Into the Spider-Verse. Did you see it?
No.
Well, I saw it, and I just...
It's really good. I'm not going to go into it, but it's really,
this is totally
really
a
good.
plug. Go see the Spider-Verse movie. Yeah, that's your homework. It's really,
How
really
they
good.
filmed that movie was
So
really
we're here
intricate.
to talk about
Sorry, I'm going to pause it one more time. I know this video is super long. Into the Spider-Verse, if you guys are fans of Spider-Man and have not seen it, they filmed it in 8-bit and 32-bit. So there's certain scenes, if I recall correctly, that they show like older Spider-Man in the animated series, that they filmed in 8-bit to kind of almost like a throwback. And then they filmed the newer versions of Spider-Man and like the newer technology. And they did it on purpose, so it almost looks like 2 different comic series. It's phenomenal. It's done phenomenally well. And then if you pick up like you're like, wow, that looks kind of not cheesy, but it looks kind of like lower grade compared to the other scene that was higher grade. It's they did it on purpose because you just watch it. It's phenomenal.
Aces in Exile.
Yes.
And we are talking
We're
about
almost done.
Rockstar.
I apologize.
Spider-Man
20
is very much
minutes
a
in.
rock star of the modern era.
Yes, that's true.
You know.
So that's where we end up.
He must
That's what
really
we-
like Spider-Man. He's
I
brought
think
it
it's
up like
pretty
4
good.
times.
All right. Well, from Minsk, once again, thanks World of Tanks for letting you use your studio, and we'll see you next week.
Here on the Sabaton History Channel.
Hey.
Hey! This is not clickable. I apologize.
We really need your support. So, become a patron, subscribe, click the little bell, and see you again and again and again.
And again and again and again. I love it. So I do apologize that these History Channel videos are super long. I don't mean for them to be so long. I do apologize that, this is a 22-minute movie. Don't know if like future ones I'm going to cut it up, maybe make them shorter. Other guys, I appreciate you all for tuning in, sticking with me to the end. I'm having a lot of fun with these History Channel ones on Saturdays and Sundays. I think I'm going to keep that. So I appreciate you guys for continuing supporting the channel. Last thing before I log off, I am going to be doing tomorrow's video is going to be my top 5 favorite Sabaton songs that I've done reactions to. I'm not going to listen to songs that I have not done reactions to yet. So if you want to vote on what you think my top 5 should be, let me know in the comment section of the songs that I've done reactions to. I'm at 68, 69. I have no idea how many Sabaton songs I've done reactions to, but let me know in the comment section, or let me know your favorite album of Sabaton in the comment section. I'm going to do a top 5 of my favorite songs of Sabaton that I've done reactions to. Also, and I mentioned this before, I do have a Patreon site and a Twitch site and a website. All that will be in the description below. Appreciate you guys checking that out and showing support, of course. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and you'll know when I go live again. Do a new video every day at 12 p.m. or 11 a.m. PST, 12 p.m. Mountain Time. And we'll have some more great videos for you coming up this week. Powerwolf released some new music. What else is going on? I don't know. We'll check that out. Thank you guys again so much. You have a wonderful day. Great week. Peace.